So I don't believe in this shit. God damn it. I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. I kind of fucked it up. It's a long cigarette. Damn. I actually think that I wanted to talk about I wanted to talk a bit about a spiritual journey, or whatever you want to call it, you know, in the sense that like the path that I have been on, or the path that I think no, I should stop myself. I wanted to talk about, and now I'm thinking too much about it. It's taking too long time for the viewers and so on. So, but I wanted to talk about my path, you know, my spiritual path, because I started lucid dreaming, I think, when I was 16, or around when I was 16. That was when I started practicing the methods to it. And I have had some crazy experiences in my dreams, or at least what I would label as crazy experiences. I guess I can tell a story about one of them. Or first I want to make the point that, now I thought about something, but first I want to make the point that I started meditating when I was 18, and I would meditate almost every day, every evening before I went to bed for I think it was between half an hour to 45 minutes, like on average, and sometimes less, of course, sometimes more. I've done long times, of course, as well. Not super long, but I think I've done like, maybe it's not as meditation, it's not, I guess there's different forms of meditation, you know. You can sit in a lotus position, or maybe you can lay down, and you would also call that meditation. I guess it's what you label as the thing meditation. But I wanted to get to the point at me having a lucid dream, and I think I was probably around 20 at that time or something. Maybe I was around 20. I'm just gonna assume that, and I'm 24 now, and I had this lucid dream, and it was in my own house, and I became lucid in my bed, as far as I remember, and it started with me, you know, going out and exploring different, or exploring my house, and then I would like walk downstairs. I'm living in a house that's one level or whatever you want to call it. And I was walking downstairs and exploring like the room. And first time, I think I went down, and maybe I went outside actually the first time. And then I went outside and I started losing control. You know, if you get too excited in the lucid dream, then you like the dream will start to, like, what will you say, like crack almost. It will lose its almost stability, like in the dream inception, where like the dream will stop appearing, or it will become dark or something, and maybe you wake up. But this time I did not wake up, or I woke up, but I woke up in my dream again, you know, in my bed again. So instead of waking up, I was on like some kind of loop. So I woke up in my bed again, and then I went downstairs one more time, and then instead of going outside, I was watching the plants, like the plants growing. And these plants I saw, they were the most, I remember thinking that in the dream, that these was the most perfect plants that I've ever seen. Like never seen anything like more, you know, the structure of them. It was like it was somehow mathematical, perfect, the plant. Like the plant was just perfect. And I guess you can say that it has some kind of subjective sense, or some kind of subjectivity to it. But it at least appeared that to me. So, and then I think I went in some other rooms and something, and then I woke up one more time in my bed again, and I was on this strange loop. So now it had happened 3 times. Maybe it had happened more. I cannot remember it. It's that long, but at least it happened like a 3rd time. I know that for sure. And the 3rd time, let's just assume that the 3rd time I would think to myself, okay, okay, now I have explored, you know, different paths in the room or in the house. I've tried to go outside. I've tried to look at some of the things. What else can I do? You know, I'm on this strange kind of loop right now, it seems. And then I think about what I should do, and I remember this idea that I wanted to try to meditate in my dream. So I sat down meditating on the floor, and I started meditating, and I saw first it started, and this was in a dream, in a lucid dream. I was meditating. I want to make sure that that's understood. So I was meditating in a lucid dream, and I started seeing these pictures, almost like some kind of film that was running on loop or something. It seemed very strange, you know. And I was watching this with my eyes closed and meditating, trying to focus on my breath. And then suddenly, I think I hear the TV goes on, and my dad comes in to the room. And I'm like watching at the TV at this point, because I have opened my eyes and see what's going on. And the TV has turned on by itself, and my dad has opened the door into the room. But I see what's going on the TV, and I tell my dad, you know, not now, because I know I was dreaming in the dream. So I felt like there was some important thing in the TV I had to look at, you know. I had to watch this thing in the TV, and so I did that, and I started watching it, and it was this TV or this program about the body, and how cells, like how the cells of the body was splitting or something. I was like looking into some movie of the body, and I was like totally fascinated, because the thing that there was also a narrator on this movie, and it was, I was sure in the dream that this was the most clever thing I've ever seen, and I just realized something about it. So I just had to think about that, about this world, not the story. I'm gonna see if I can get back to the story. but I was watching this TV about this program about cell splitting. I also think there was something about protein and like different things in the body, how it was working, and I was sure that this thing I saw was correct. Everything that was said in it, it was like there was some kind of truth to it, like it was just knowledge about the body. And I remember looking at the TV, trying to press on. In Danish it's called something, but in English I'll just translate it like directly. I don't know if it's the right translation, but I think it's called textual TV. It's like where you can see like what show is running on the TV. So I was trying to take the name of the show running, because in my dream I thought that maybe this thing I saw in the dream was somehow some subconscious or unconscious thing, you know, something that my brain had absorbed, but somehow in a real TV show or something but I had forgotten, you know, some kind of lost memory or something. So I was trying to take the name, and I took the name, and I was like trying to memorize it in the dream, and then I was watching on this TV show, and the way it ends, I mean, this is one of the things that I find very crazy. The way that it ends is that there is this narrator voice, and that's going to be important later. The narrator voice, which talks about something, and then the question arises how you cannot live forever or something like that. Something with immortality, something that had something to do with immortality in some way or another. And then I want to go at this thing first, that what was being said about immortality, and almost saying that immortality is possible or something like that. More immortality, I think, or you know, living forever is possible. I don't know if I mix it up, but now I think. But then later, or this last year, when I dropped out of school, I started reading psychology and Carl Jung, and I was reading this book in English. I think it's called Man and His Symbolisms by Carl Jung. That was the first book I read, and something in the book said something about. I read it, or I was reading it in Danish instead, though, so it's not English. But it was saying something about a voice in the dream always being true because it's a part of the collective unconscious or something. And when I read that, I was like, what? I don't know. I don't even know if it makes sense, but I guess I'm just gonna talk here further. And then when I woke up from the dream, I was, you know, I tried, before I talked about trying to memorize a specific line, you know, of text that I read on the TV screen without, or take that piece of information out to the real world. But when I woke up, it was like deleted from memory, and I could not memorize it. Because sometimes that happens, and it's like, then it's like it just decides for you. You're not gonna get this information out, even though you want, or something like that. At least I think that was something strange that happened, or something, I don't know what you would call it. Some experience I've had in a lucid dream. You know, something that's a bit or maybe, you know, all the most things people probably would do in a lucid dream, you know, flying, or you know, there's a lot of things you can do, but maybe this is not something of the basic things you like know like teleporting. You know, you can teleport, you can use your phone maybe to travel to another place, and you can like use doors. You use the doors as portals. You know, they are portals in the dream, and then you have. I also used you know, this thing where you can stop time, so you can make everything stand still, and then you can walk around between the frozen world. But I actually have this story about, you know, freezing, the story about freezing time, and I think I'm gonna tell that in a bit, but I wanna smoke some of this. I have it. I have this story about. I have this story about of where I was freezing, you know, the world or whatever you want to say in the dream, and in this dream I don't know if I should say everything, because then maybe people are gonna sit and analyze, and maybe maybe that's not it. But I guess it doesn't matter. But I was at this place, and I was sitting on a bench, and this guy, he was talking to me, but in the dream I found this guy, you know, kind of annoying. He was annoying me in the dream, and then suddenly, you know, there was a tree behind him, and on this tree there was like coming an arm out. So there was suddenly there was like an arm, you know, out of the tree, and I was like, you know, I was not aware that it was a dream yet. So, you know, when I saw the arm, I thought that, oh, maybe I'm dreaming now, because this is not logical. And then the arm came out, and I was doing my reality check. So I was counting my fingers, you know. One of the reality checks can be to count your fingers and look at your hands, and then look away and look back and count them again. Because maybe when you look back, then you have 12 fingers. I've even had at 16 fingers and so on. You can have, and sometimes the fingers, they can be really small. So it's like you have like, I don't know, you have like some, like almost, you have a hand that's not possible to have, or you are aware that this is not your normal hand in the real world. And then when that thing happens, then you become conscious in the dream, because your consciousness becomes aware that, oh, this is a dream space, so I can do what I want. I can do what I want in the dream. So because this guy, he was annoying to me, then I thought, okay, you know, I'm just gonna walk away from him and if I figure out, you know, what else is going on here, figure out this world I'm in, and then I look back, and this guy, he follows me. He follows me, and I can see he's not good, or whatever you say. He does not seem to have good intentions. So, you know, I walk away from him, and he keeps following me. And then I stopped. I try to freeze everything, and there is other people around, and the other people around, they get stopped. And then I walk, you know, because I think, oh, now I have stopped the world. So it doesn't matter, this guy that was after me, because I have stopped everything. And then I look back, and this guy, he's still after me. So he's not frozen, but the other people, they are frozen. And And then I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do? He's not gonna get frozen by my, my spell or whatever you wanna call these things. And then I decide to pull up the ground below him. So I like somehow pulls the ground, below this guy and make him like elevate up in the air. So he's like standing on a platform, and then he doesn't bother me. And then later, then I walk on because I had some quest. And maybe I was aware about that, and I just forgot to. I don't really remember. But there was this thing in the air that I wanted to get. Like it was, I think it actually was like a chest, treasure chest, flying in the air, and I was like, how am I gonna get up to this? And then instead of getting up to it, I just brought it down, dragged it down. And opened it, and then I think there was some text in it actually, like some letter, and I found maybe if I think that symbolically now, maybe that's interesting or something. I don't quite know what it means, but I guess it's something interesting. I also have another story, I think. But I'm gonna give it a minute or something and then talk or just sit a bit. Because I have this other dream I want to talk about as well. Maybe I could just sit and talk about some of my dreams. I guess some of them are interesting. Because then maybe later in time, if you study, maybe you study, at least for me, I study a lot of Carl Jung's work, and some of that is like depth psychology or whatever you want to call it, or also dream psychology and symbolism, and then you can maybe start to read into these things, maybe even the concepts they are connected and so on. Because I have this thing about the philosopher's stone actually, or lapis philosophorum, I think it's called in Latin. I think it has many names, or lapis, maybe it's lapis philosophorum. I think also it's something is called the Philos philosophorum. I think there is something called that. I think also it has something to do with philosopher's stone. I had this dream, and this is the one that have a connection, I think, to philosopher's stone, and that is I was on this in this country or something. It did not seem like my own country, and it was by the water or close to the water, and I was walking in the city, and I think I was walking into a bar or something, and I was just shortly exploring it, and then there was this water, and I I decided that I think I was lucid at this point. I'm pretty sure it was. So I decided to go swim in the water, because in the water I could breathe. It was not a problem for me to swim underwater, you know. So I was like swimming underwater, and I even think there were sharks. Maybe there were not sharks, but then I got to this ship, like this shipwreck underwater, and there was this sand, and I think there was a treasure, a chest. There was a treasure chest in the sand, and I was swimming to the treasure chest and opened it, and there was like crystals or jewels or whatever you want to call them, like. I think maybe I should give you a color as well. I think they were pink actually, or something like that. Actually, but I took some of these crystals, and then I put them, placed them in my pocket. You know, and I did not take all of them in the chest. So after I took the jewels, I closed the chest. And then I buried it in the sand. So I was digging it down. So maybe the next guys they had to dig it up. And then I was swimming away with the jewels. But then I woke up and I of course lost the jewels. But I think it's a fun story because I forgot to get to the point. I think the point is that later I was reading in this man and his symbolism, and philosopher's stone can also be symbolized in dream, I think it says, as crystals. And I found that, interesting later when I was reading that, or whatever you say, I don't know. You can do some strange things in lucid dreams, I think. Like there is almost, unlimited possibilities, but you have to not be too excited as well, because if you become too excited, maybe you wake up or something. Sometimes it can. I think it can be difficult in a way, because maybe you're flying and you think that it's so amazing. You had never flown, or what is it called? You had never been flying before, and then then you wake up because it's cool or something, or you find it fun. Or I don't know what to say. Mm. Oh man, there's a lot of troubles out here, or whatever you say. I don't know what's going on, but sometimes, I wish I could just sit here without thinking about, am I a problem right now? Am I too loud, or am I this, or am I that? I find my whole situation so strange right now. Very, 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 very strange. I don't know what's up or what's down. I mean, are we completely clueless to the going on? It seems like nobody knows what's actually going on. There's so much stuff going on, it's mind-blowing almost. It's crazy. And with this information thing, then we can capture moments, and then it's suddenly stored in some kind of data stream or something. I don't even know what to call it.